welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. About a year ago, I got 2 bald cypress trees from Lowe's. They were on their clearance rack. This is the time of the year, even in Florida, that they will lose all their leaves. As you can see, this one has. A little side note, this one actually started bronzing in like September. It still had some green, but it looked a little bronze of September. And then it was bronze for like a long time. And just now it actually started losing them all. All the leaves are just like just coming off here. I'm just kind of pulling those off so I can show you that they are falling off. And that basically means that the buds are getting ready to swell and it's about time I can work on it. That's about 2 weeks short of when I did this last year. Last year we did have a little bit of a colder winter than we're having. We've got some cool days coming up, but I'm not too concerned about it. I was just at the Bonsai nursery the other day, and they were doing some hard work on all of their bald cypress too. And they're a little north of me, so I think I'm in good shape and everything. I'm not too worried about it. The base here, try to include some old pictures as I go along. The base has made some pretty good progress over the year. I feel like it. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell exactly from the picture when I get it in here. I did look ahead of time. This is the angle that I have that one picture on. I'll show you guys the other side here real quick before I start giving any more close-ups or anything. If you go back and watch the other video, you can probably see what the base looked like a little bit better. I do have this one sitting up on cinder blocks. This is in like used bonsai substrate. If you're looking at it, you probably see the bonsai substrate. So I kind of put a little bit better soil on top. That's what's on the bottom, but it definitely is, some used substrate with some potting mix mixed into it and everything. In the summer, I do just water just one time a day. I don't water twice a day. I don't keep it in a pool of water or anything else. Seems to have grown just fine. The other one grew a lot better. And at first, I thought it was because I have it in such a bigger container. But I just moved that, getting ready to bring it in here. And I realized that that it actually had like 3 escape roots that had grown through the container into the ground. First thing, I'm going to prune it pretty hard. I'm going to show you the scar I made and how that's working out, but I'm going to wait and get some close-ups of that when I get ready to start working on it and everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the pruning here first. I am going to try to take some cuttings. It kind of, from what I understand, the bud swell time is the time to take the cuttings with these things. Kind of goes against how I get most of my good ficus cuttings. My ficus cuttings, I wait until they're actually pushing good growth, and then I go ahead and take them. And the growth that it was pushing, kind of, I feel like my theory is that the leaves create the roots, and so with some leaves just coming out there, and then you take the cutting, it's got to push some roots, and that's how I've been successful with the ficus cuttings. I usually wouldn't do when they were bare like this. But everything I've seen, bud swell is a good time to do it. And this is just the time that I have to work on these trees anyway. Our spring here in Florida is getting ready to just come up on us here real quick. And I'm going to have so much other work to do, I'm just not going to really have time to mess with these anymore. So I'd like to get these set for the, first of the spring, get them back out there and just, get them left alone. If the cuttings take, they take. If they don't, they don't. I'm not going to demonstrate how I take these cuttings or anything, just simply because I'm not going to take the cuttings of these smaller ones. I'm just cutting these back just to kind of get them out of the way. But simply because taking these trees in right now is creating enough of a mess for me inside right now. And I just really don't need any bigger of a mess. So I'm just going to go ahead. I've got some stuff set up outside. I'll just do that off camera. I mean, if it's successful, I'll let you know. Maybe next year I'll demonstrate how to do it. But I just dip them in the rooting hormone. I have no idea what strength. It's just what I buy at the big box store. Dip it in there and stick it in some regular potting soil and basically try to either lean it against the pot, or I take and only fill the pot halfway up so I can kind of actually get it in there in the middle and lean it against the pot so it's not right on the edge, and just leave them someplace where they won't get disturbed for a long time. And help their root. I mean, I've made, lots of ficus cuttings. And I didn't really think about it ahead of time. I've got a few other things to strike with taking cuttings. Not too much. It does take a long time to grow a tree from a cutting, but the way these things have grown, I mean, if you think about it, this was down to this high a year ago, and this thing is already up to there. The other one, this one is, like I said, the one from part one. The other one was a little bit bigger when I first bought it, and it's probably a good foot or two taller than this too. Of course, I did just prune this guy off a bit too, as well. Alright, so I got all the longer branches just basically like, you know, basically got eye pokers and stuff, just getting them out of the way so I can work and see what I'm doing a little bit better here. And before I give you the close-up look, I'm going to try to see which ones I'm going to try to save and take for cuttings. And some of these, you're going to see I'm going to get pretty brutal with it here in a minute. And some of these, I may, basically it's got 3 main branches right now. 3 branches that could become a leader if it doesn't wind up being this one, which would be like the 4th branch. I did leave, I'm trying to leave these 2 down here just to have some lower, it won't get so bulgy up here. It does get all of its growth at one spot here. So if I wasn't going to break out my saw and do some work to it and everything, I'd probably go ahead and get this down to 1 liter anyhow, but then I'd leave such an ugly scar for now. I want to go ahead and work it while it's young. The other tree, like I said, is much bigger, so I'm going to try to get a couple bigger cuttings out of that one. And now that I have all those limbs cut off and everything, just get a little bit of a closer look at the base here before I give you guys a look at that scar. Pretty sure this is the side of the base that the picture was in. Alright, so here is the chop. I did a slant cut on it instead of doing a straight cut. The general wisdom is everybody says to make a straight cut. I mean, it's part of the reason why I don't join a club or anything. I don't join a club just because, I don't know, I'm one of those Gen X people where I just don't like being told what to do. I have that enough in my job and everything else. I'd just rather do this for fun and not have anybody constantly reminding me I'm doing things wrong. But I mean, there's way more to it than that. I mean, you can kind of think about what most old guys in Florida are like and everything, and that'd be like reason. That's the first reason actually. But anyhow, I did do a slant cut. The biggest branch is coming off the side here, creating a little bit of a bulge there. Got these 2 branches right next to each other, and they were actually starting. You know, you can see the scar tissue starting to go over. That's how much it makes in a year. None of my ficus trees would do that in a year. Kind of really surprised at how long it took me to get into bald cypress and everything. I think it's actually a pretty cool tree now that I've actually got one. And then there's this back branch here. It's below all of them. And I talked a little about it yesterday. You know, thinking about that tree I had in here yesterday, this thing is dwarfed compared to how big that one was. That thing was like this big at the top. I really hope that thing lives and everything. But anyway, if I did have a sawzall, I only have a Silky Boy saw. It's nice and sharp and everything, but doing things by hand takes a lot of patience. I only have so much. But if I had a sawzall, I might come in and make this the new leader, since I never got a guy wire on it or anything, so it did go straight up. And you know, it's coming out down here far enough where I can go ahead and try to do like a sideways cut there, just like this was, and make that the leader. But what I think I'm going to have to do, what I was actually thinking I was going to do is come right down the middle and try to make it to where my saw is going to land right here, because I'm going to come down straight through that stuff. I imagine this branch, that branch will never make that. I might as well go ahead and take that out now before I just beat it all up. Try to make it to where the saw blade is going to be right there. And then if it's going through, and I think I can keep going, I'm going to try to angle a little bit. Might even try to take this one off as a good chunky cutting. Just try to get that cambium in the rooting hormone and see what happens. I've gotten thicker cuttings from ficus to bite that. But then just depending, like I said, depending on how it's going, if it's not going all that well, I might try to drive a wedge in there and see if I can't get it to split a little bit. And if I can, I might split it quite a bit and go for a little split trunk look, or even just kind of split it up, and then if both sides grow, just pick a new side that I'm going to keep one day and then just go ahead and cut off the other one. You know, I am getting pretty brave with it, but at the same time, you know, I want to do what it takes to make sure it's going to survive another year. I'd like to work this for a number of years. Cutting off as many branches that I am sure are going to be in the way as possible, so that as I'm jerking around with the saw, if I keep repeatedly hitting them, I'm not beating up the whole tree. All right, and I was able to get the blade down to about there. As I was kind of pulling it out to check my progress and everything, it's getting harder and harder to get the blade back in there. And so I figure from right about here, I've got this older screwdriver. See if I can't knock it in there some. And get it to split a little bit. I just heard it split some. Wish I had a big chisel or a bigger screwdriver than this. The thing I was going to mention is that you guys can't see it because the camera's not down below there, but the me sawing on it is actually a little more disturbing to the roots than I thought it would be. You can see where the dirt is all in the shape of a pot, but it is bouncing around a lot more than I thought it would. I thought it would be a lot more pot bound than that. I mean, it has only been in the pot for a year, so I guess that would explain why it's not that pot bound yet, but all right, so I had the camera off there for a bit, and I just did a little test to see if it would split. And of course, I mean, I'm standing on this side, but also you can see that this side's a little bit smaller, so you can see this side moves, this one stayed still. So rather than trying to split them both, I think I'm going to pick a spot here to cut this one off. Just going to open it up a little bit further. Maybe even leave that screwdriver in there. There we go. And what I'd like to do, I'd like to save this branch. If I can get this branch to bud, especially in a couple spots here, that may actually heal the bottom of that a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and just accept the fact that I'm going to lose this branch. I'll try to take this little thing and shove it in some rooting hormone and some topsoil. I mean, see what happens. I have some doubts for anything that big, but you never know. I understand they are pretty prolific. I think that screwdriver being in there might be putting some pressure back on that. Take that out. There we go. And there we go. Alright, tried to get this at an angle where you could see both of these. So that's now straight wood, you know, saw cut there. Trying to save this branch here. Got some root splitters and some nod cutters. I'm hoping between the two of them I can at least take this and make it to where it's not perfectly straight anymore. A little harder to get in there than I thought it would be. At the very least, as long as I can get that edge off, that'll be okay. And there we go. And then up here, you can see that wound was healing there. You'll see on the other one that I bring in a minute, this will roll over this, no problem. I mean, maybe not out that far, but down to there, that'll just roll out really quick. Especially since I was able to save both those branches. I don't know if I should try to cut any more of that off with the saw first. Not really the way for the splitters to go in there. There we go. wasn't really expecting that. That came off a little easier than I thought it would. That's even better. That's where that branch is there. So that also should be able to like roll right over there. It won't be so rigid as it was just a minute ago. Still need to worry about getting that out. See if I can maybe do the same thing at a smaller scale. There we go. Alright, that's pretty much going to do it for this guy. I was thinking about doing these two trees in one video. Depending on how much time this one takes when I edit it, I might put the next tree into another video. The old slant, I do believe, was going that way. And now I've got this wound here. It's actually could be in front of the tree the way that I have it in the pot. Of course, that could always change over time as well. That's a little more of what I was showing there when I was working on it. That's where I made the split down. Got three branches on that side. And you can even see this one here is right on the cut. This one, the closer I kept trying to get, the more it seemed like I was going to damage that branch there. I did want to try to save that branch, small as it might be. I'd like to get a couple more sub branches coming off of that. Just to give it some better taper. We'll see what happens. And then could also use this in the front if I wanted to. Just depends on what kind of future design it gives me. Definitely going to leave it alone for another year. See what it looks like about a year from now.